All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here talking about real music in real time for a couple of real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, going to be talking about Steve Perry. Yeah, I haven't been talking about Steve lately, so there's always something when it comes to Steve Perry. Here is Bad Sister. This does not sound like Steve Perry. It's a combination of Starship and maybe Whitesnake. All right. And the album came out last year. Where Will You Go? Very apocalyptic looking album cover. Really great band, really nice people. Had the opportunity to speak with them, had them on the show. Nobody really watched the video, unfortunately, compared to normal viewership, which is always lower than it's supposed to be based on the fact that I do think this channel is throttled back somewhat shadow banned. Here's the back cover, and female singer, and she's really good. So again, check out Bad Sister. They're from Germany. Of course, they're not from the United States, right? But anyway, let's talk Steve Perry. Before I do that, don't forget about Modern Retro Radio, modernretrofm.com. If you want to hear new material by vintage artists and new material by bands like Bad Sister, you should go over and listen to modernretrofm.com. Now, when it comes to Steve Perry, I get these messages constantly. Do you think Steve Perry is going to do this or that? His fan base has not gone away. In fact, the mystery of Steve Perry over the years, I think, has increased curiosity and his fan base. Fans still want a reunion with Journey after all these years. It's just going to be a fact of life until people are no longer here. I hate to be blunt, but that's just the reality of it. Steve Perry, I think, is 74 years old. When I get his age wrong, people just jump on me. No, he's 75. No, he's 73. Actually, no, he's 72. All right, he's in his 70s. And people are still talking about the Journey reunion. Now, why do they do this? I think at this stage, it's more for nostalgia and almost like the shock value of it. Just to see Steve Perry on stage with Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain would bring back a lot of great memories for people. It just would. It would be, again, Frontiers all over again. It would be Escape, Frontiers, Raised on Radio. Those three guys were putting out some of the best music ever made as far as American rock and pop. They had really just hit their stride, and there are people that just cling to those albums, and I understand why. The other issue here, not to be negative, but Arnel Pineda, for whatever reason, still hasn't convinced old-timers that he's the real deal, even though he's had the longest tenure of any singer in Journey, and he's got the support of Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain, despite what's been happening recently. He did have one blow up. I think it was last year. Neil was putting out some material on social media, probably on Twitter, and at one point Arnel responded to it. I mean, everybody was fighting, but I think all of that has gone away. I have this theory about this, is that a lot of this is to generate interest in the band. We live in this weird social media bubble, and this generates clicks and views and then ticket sales. That's my theory on it, because it comes and goes. Notice the band is not currently on tour, and everything is very quiet. Just there's not any controversy. Whereas you'd want to work out the controversy when the band isn't on tour. But see, there's a money-making element here. Let's go see if these guys have a fist fight on stage. I'm buying tickets. I don't really care who's singing for Journey. I want to see the bloodbath, and that didn't happen, obviously, but people were talking about Journey. So again, it's kind of it's almost like the Jerry Springer motivation. Just the late Jerry Springer, who recently passed away. Anyway, uh, Perry himself has taken on a life of his own. This is another huge component to this, is that Steve Perry, because of the way he lives his life, which is kind of in the shadows, he doesn't want the attention, but every so often he gives you a taste of this or a glimpse of that, or hey, listen to this track where Steve Perry sings background vocals. This has happened recently, and fans again are very interested. Steve Perry singing on an album? Tell me more. I did a whole video about it, and people were interested in it. His every move is basically tracked and documented by his fans, and it gets a little obsessive. That's why I joke around about, hey, Steve Perry has a hangnail. He's got to deal with it, and there's news about it. You can check it out over on YouTube. Someone will do a video about it. Perry fan pages blow up the internet with endless speculation over whether Steve will put out new music or whether he will reunite with Journey. And that's pretty much the topic of these pages. Sometimes they get a little bit weird, speculating about certain things that Steve Perry might like, or, examining certain parts of Steve Perry. I'm trying to stay family friendly here. It gets a little bizarre because I've read some of this stuff, and typically it's middle-aged ladies. Just okay. I'm just telling you the way it is, and that's part of this interest, that a lot of ladies still have a huge crush on Steve Perry with the gray hair and a guy in his 70s, and I expect that to continue. I don't expect that to change at all. So yeah, in addition to all of that speculation and Perry and his reclusive nature, this only adds fuel to the fire as people continue to speculate and wonder. And then Steve Perry gives them a little tidbit. We're getting close to the holiday season. Steve Perry may have a couple more holiday songs that he might put out there. Don't know if he will, but fans are waiting. So he plays his fans really well. Let's just be honest. And he plays all his cards really close to the vest. So you don't know what he's going to do. And when he does it, it's a big surprise. This isn't a guy who is wanting to oversaturate. I don't think he really cares that much, but the reclusive nature has made his image and his once he does appear, people are freaked out. They're like, there's Steve Perry. We got him, And whereas Journey, when they're busy, they're everywhere. Neil Sean is tweeting. He's on Instagram. He's everywhere promoting. And so they take a completely different approach. Whereas I know Perry doesn't like that world anyway. So this has worked out really well for him. The last bit of information I think that is important for all of this speculation about Steve Perry is he recently dropped a lawsuit against his former band over trademarks. Now, I've had people tell me, yeah, he dropped it, but he's dropping it not for the same reasons that Neil Sean is putting out there. Neil Sean is like, hey, now we can go out and have coffee. I think Perry at this point might feel sorry for his former bandmates as they continuously fight it out. And, you had 2 lawsuits, and you had all kinds of insults and things going back and forth. And Neil's using the credit card and alleges that John didn't let him use the credit card. And John says that Neil, blew up the debt on the credit card. So Neil is kind of practicing what the federal government does, just print more money. Just get a credit card with a bigger limit on it, right? And I think that was the whole problem, is that John thought that, he's spending too much money, but Neil's like, hey, I should have access to these records. I think Steve Perry thought to himself, maybe these guys don't need any more trouble. I'm just going to tiptoe out of the room, back out slowly, and let them work out their differences, and I'm not going to worry about trademarks. The trademark issue, I'm thinking if Neil and John do put out, T-shirts with song titles or whatever they're going to do with the trademarks, Steve Perry probably will make a decent cut off of that. So maybe he felt, hey, out of principle, I should stop this, but I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot financially because I made such a good deal the first time. I might as well just, take advantage of this too. And that's just a theory. Or he, like I say, he could just feel sorry for those guys. But for people really obsessed with the drama, that almost felt like an olive branch. And then people started speculating, is Perry going to be there for the 50th anniversary? Neil Schon leaves the door open. Perry never walks through the door. A Journey goes to San Francisco. I'm thinking this would be perfect. Perry could come up and sing one song, right? And that would be just an epic moment in rock history. Finally, hell freezes over again. If you're looking at what the Eagles said about their reunion, this would be even more of a hell freezing over. This would be Arctic Ice Age hell freezing over. I don't see it happening, but you never say never in this business. I mean, everybody might get so old that they're so out of the news and they're so irrelevant. It's already happening where classic rock isn't what it used to be. And people talk about it, and 80% of the people are like, huh? Because, we're all getting a bit older and we're basically a special interest group at this point. And they didn't make anything really for us after 1992, as far as I'm concerned. They did, but nobody promoted it, and there's no support system. So all of these bands are hanging on to their past, and they're clinging to it. And there are fans that are doing the same thing. And this is why Steve Perry is such an important figure, because he feeds into that. What if Steve Perry shows up for this? And it's just fun to speculate. He's not going to do it, most likely, ever, but it generates interest, and there are YouTube channels devoted to it and Facebook groups. And so Steve Perry, he's always going to be talked about. And it would be interesting if Steve and Neil started to communicate again. I think that would be interesting, even if they weren't planning on working together. I know Neil would stoke the fire there. And Perry even said in an interview that if I did something with Journey, then people would assume I would be reuniting. And Perry doesn't want anything to do with that. Journey is touring next year. I'm not sure of all the details, but I'm pretty sure they're going to do a big tour next year, and it will be with another high-profile band. Steve Perry does have music that he's written, and I don't know if he's recorded it. I'm hoping that he gives his fans something for Christmas or maybe next year. But again, it's all speculation, and this is what keeps people going when it comes to Steve Perry. So anyway, folks, that's my little video about Steve Perry and endless speculation. It's just part of the world as we know it, and it's going to continue. Here's Bad Sister. The album is called Where Will You Go? Very apocalyptic looking album cover. The music isn't super dark. It's got both light and dark elements to it. It's melodic rock. Think of Whitesnake and Starship together. That's my best description of Bad Sister. Folks, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Patreon for just $1 a month. If you want to send me a message or something, that's the best way to do it. Or you can talk with other patrons, or you can just support the channel. You can also do that through YouTube memberships, which is helping, as I know at times this channel is definitely shadow banned compared to other channels with a similar number of subscribers or even lower number of subscribers. But I appreciate everybody who's here, and I just want to say thanks, and I'll see you soon.